Hi, I'm Kelly at Book and Paper Arts, and this only looks like it's my garbage. It's really a treasure trove of found art supplies. I'm making this video for several reasons. One is that one of my resolutions for this year was to cut down on my waste. Not only the one that's holding up my Levi's, thank you so much, also the stuff that I consume. And that sounds a little serious and tedious, so I decided to make it into a hobby, and I love a good hobby. Right away, I started seeing how much stuff I was throwing away. And recycling is fine, but reusing is even better. So I kind of set this little challenge for myself to see what I could find in the garbage, in the rubbish, to turn into art supplies and use in my work. Another reason is because you know that I talk a lot about using what you got. And that is because when I started out in art, I was broke and I did stuff anyway. If you have fancy art supplies, and I love fancy art supplies, that's terrific. But you don't have to have them to be creative and start making a body of work according to your vision. And this will help you be resourceful and see ways that maybe you can add to that tools in that toolbox. The other thing, finally, is that if you have seen my videos, especially about art journal pages, that I only use found stuff. And I talk about lots of easy and cheap ways to find images that go in the scrap box. Well, it's not hard to do, but you do have to learn to do it, to approach the ordinary things around you that you see all the time but don't see with a fresh eye. You have to learn to do this and to train like a creative athlete. So I hope that by showing you some of these resourceful ideas, that maybe that might jumpstart that for you a little bit. Let's go make things. Oh, wait. This is going to be a little bit longer than my usual videos. I'm going to make a bullet point of the projects I'm covering today, and I'll put in the time marks if you want to skip ahead. Okay. Today, I'm not going to have too much time to do step-by-step craft instructions. That's a different video. Today is about getting ideas going. But if there's anything that I do that you'd like to see and revisit, let me know in the comments below, and we can do that. Take it step by step. I'm making this scrap of the port box into a little baby notebook. These pages themselves were left over for some echo prints, and I had to trim the pages, and these bits were left over. I sure didn't throw them away. Now I've cut them and folded them into the cardboard here. I can sew this binding, but we could do it traveler's notebook style by just wrapping some ribbon around there or some elastic. And can even make it a little bit of a wraparound style, like so. And now we have a teeny tiny little notebook. Put that in your handbag. It's really fun. Same idea here. I have the mailer. It says great read. And I had some pages. I was doing some plant dyeing with onion skins. It was not a complete success, but I didn't throw it away. So now I have a little bit of an imperfect signature here. I cut the mailer up and folded it and trimmed everything together. Again, you could sew this binding. I just have some twine. And I'm going to tie them in like this. And I have another little notebook. I took some more of this cardboard from the mailer and added a hole and some ribbon, and now I have a bookmark. And if you have friends who have a sense of humor about this sort of thing, then I think these would make really good Happy Mail presents. Back to the port box. I took another section of it and added a hole and some ribbon, and now I have a tag. If you make junk journals or mixed media work and you like to have pockets, this could go in there. It would be beautiful. And you could write on the back. Next, I've realized that when I started taking this apart, that the cardboard was peeling pretty easily off of the paper. That doesn't always happen, but because it has, this is actually the thinness of paper, so I can put this in the scrap box and use it in the future for some embellishment or pretty stuff. And finally, in this section, the same thing with this. I'm not going to make a project with the box of tea, but I am going to put this in the scrap box. So you will probably be seeing both of these in an art journal process video in the next few weeks because they're going in the scrap box. Now let's look at more cardboard. This is from the box of chocolate covered cherries. And I love food in my stuff, pictures of food, and so I just cut this out and added a hole and some ribbon, and now it's a tag. Also, another bookmark. Yes, really. Because this box is actually, the cardboard is double-sided, I took this hole punch thingy, and I can make a boatload of these. And these come in really handy if you're doing an art journal layout or some other layout and you've got some open space and you need to just fill it in. I love to have little bits of things like that. This is some more cardboard from a pudding. And I really like this gray gingham that's on this side. So I am going to take a stamp. Okay, let's do this. Add it to the gingham. Hope for the best. It's a little messy, but that's okay. It's distressed. And this would make, again, a good tag or just some addition to an art journal page. But wait, there's more. With the rest of it, I just saw a free stencil. So you could ink up a blending tool and create some images like this. If you don't use this sort of thing, if you don't have it or you don't fancy it, use anything. Use a pencil, a crayon, pastel, a pencil, anything you got. And you can play with this free stencil. Now, this is from a mesh bag that some onions came in at the supermarket. I cut it up and then glued it to my altered book to start a layout. Now I can add something to it, and I've got some texture and messiness to begin with. I took the pieces that were left over and cut them into thin strips. And these could be used any way you can use a ribbon. You could use them for a tag or to wrap something. And it's just very subtle and a little bit different. This was on the a jar of cucumber pickles, and this came wrapped over the top of it like a little paper ruff from the oldie days. So I just folded it in half and started tearing out this part right here, which I could probably going to put in my sketchbook diary to remind me of buying cucumber pickles in the Polish market. But now I have a really cool little frame, and I could add it to some other aspects. Well, let's look at this. You know, to some text maybe. And I could cut all of this out, the shape of the doily, have the text there, and some other image there, and I would have a really charming kind of a frame that I could add again to a collage layout, some whatever kind of mixed media art that you are working on. I've shown this technique before, but I love it so. This is an envelope that my tax bill came in, and here in Britain, you usually are not happy to see these brown envelopes, but they do have this cellophane window that shows where your address is. And I can take this, measure it down to size, and put it in a journal, either an art journal or my illustrated diary. And then you can put things inside of it. So it can hold stuff for you, but also, again, make a pretty cool little frame there. I really like this lady. I bought some bowls and plates this week, and sandwiched in between each plate were these pieces of tissue paper. So I took a rubber stamp and my stamp pad, and I just went all over this piece of tissue paper, making a kind of wallpaper. And now I can turn it into a really cool start of a page. I'm just putting down some adhesive here. And when you glue tissue paper using an adhesive, it's going to go transparent. I'm doing it like this because there's less of a chance of the ink from the stamp pad seeping through. And now you can see the beginning of a fun page. See how you can see all of the text underneath there? And again, this is just the beginning. You could add layers and layers. Here's one I did. Same thing. It's just tissue paper, and I've used a bird's nest rubber stamp, and you can see that it's gone completely transparent, showing everything underneath. So that's a great way to add texture and mystery to your pieces. Now let's look at mark making with bubble wrap. Goodness knows, enough of it comes into our lives these days. I'm going to show you several different ways that you can activate it. Again, here I am just using a stamp pad, an ink pad. And there you go. Texture and layers and some real fun stuff, just some fun. Okay, maybe, again, you don't have stamp pads or it's not your thing. You can add, I'm adding ink using a makeup sponge. You could also use watercolors, acrylics, watered down acrylics, anything that you've got. Work with what you've got. And if you have any water-soluble materials, here I'm actually just going to get it wet with some water. And you could use anything for this, a sponge or whatever you have to get it nice and wet. And then rub your water-soluble crayon or gelato or pencils. And it's going to activate it. And again, patterns. And you know how I often say when I show an art journal page that I'm just going to keep working on it. And this is one I posted last Friday, so if you want to see how I made this page, there's a link to that video. But let's add a little bit more, because I can't stop myself. Got that inked up there. And there we go. Just a little bit more distress going all around the page. Take that off. So, bubble wrap. Finally, let's look at printmaking using styrofoam. This stuff is so bad for the planet, but they keep putting it in stuff. So let's make something beautiful from it. This is acrylic paint. It's very inexpensive. I got it from the discount store. So I'm just going to use this brayer to lay out some acrylic color on the styrofoam that came in a packing box. And then I've got another color here. I don't do a lot of printing, so maybe some of you are better at this than I am. But that's the whole point. Let's just try. These are some blister tablet packs. I did not make this clever mark making idea up. It comes from Birgit Koopsen. She has an amazing, inspiring YouTube channel, and I'm going to link to it in the text. And she shows this technique. Only she used a jelly plate, but I don't have a jelly plate, so we're using free stuff today. I'm going to pick the color up there and move the color over here. So we have some contrast there. I'm going to use a different kind of blister pack. This one's got lozenge shaped. Okay, let's put that there. Right. And now let's try to pull a print from that. And that looks amazing. That would make a really good tag. Let's try this over here with a tag. And again, if you look at Birgit's site, she shows how to do a lot more printing and tag making. But you can see where that would be a terrific start to many a mixed media project. So another thing that you can do with this, one last little bit of mark making with found objects, and that is some corrugated cardboard. Sorry about that squeakiness. Now, I got some furniture and this was in there, and I found that if I peel it, you've got this great texture right there underneath. So I carefully peeled off some. This is just, again, corrugated cardboard. And I'm going to pick up the color and make some marks and some patterns. And again, you could use that on any kind of an art journal page or any kind of mixed media work you're doing. I love this. It's just fun and messy and mysterious. I'm not going to do more with this right now because I'm going to be doing a full-length video about pulling prints with styrofoam in the near future. But that can get you started with some inspiration, I hope. There you go. If you have ideas for found treasure, found art supplies, please share them with the community here in the comments. Also, let me know if you have any questions. I have a monthly newsletter about art and paper arts and journal arts. And this Sunday I have a new one coming out. The theme is going to be flowers. I'm going to have free high-res scans of these Ray Douté, that's the artist, Ray Douté prints also some scans of wildflowers and botanical flowers. I will also be featuring a tutorial that shows you how to make a hand-rolled rose from scrap paper. So please sign up for that if you're interested. The link is in the text below this video. I post every Friday. Please subscribe to my channel. And until next Friday, please get up and go make something.